Recently, I made a video on Task Manager application using Laravel and Filament. If you haven't checked that video, go check it now. Link in description. This Task Manager web app is being used by our in-house team to delegate tasks to our team members. Now, I wanted to make a mobile application so that our team members can easily access the task assigned to them on their mobile phone. I wanted to use Flutter to develop this app and was planning to do things from scratch. But then I thought of searching online if there's anything that can speed up the process. Luckily, I found a repository of Flutter application with Laravel backend, and that's exactly what I was looking for. Now let me share with you the process I followed to modify code to make it work for my purpose. So first thing I did is I created a directory where I can clone the repository. So let's name the directory Flutter Laravel. Now once we are inside the directory, let's go ahead and clone this Flutter template. And at the bottom there is also link for sample Laravel backend. So we will go ahead and also clone this Laravel backend. Now let's open Visual Studio Code Editor. And open the first directory that we created. So here we have the Flutter template that we are going to use, and also it has the respective Laravel backend that has been used to create the Flutter app. Let's first go ahead and check the code once. If we go into screens, we can see that there is login screen, here is register screen, and I think this is the post screen for listing posts once the authentication is successful. So I'm not going to change this login and register process. I think this should work as it is, but this post will be changed to tasks because my Laravel application is related to tasks. And if I go to model, again we see the model for post. This model we need to change. We need to specially change the fields. This title and body will be removed, and the fields from task model will be there. We also need to change this class name post to class name task, and I think rest of the things look good. We have name and email in user model, and we can stick to that. And once I run this app, we will see that how it looks, how the register and login screen looks. Yeah, so this app is not a very big app, pretty skeletal app for very suitable for creating or getting started with something new. Now let's go ahead and check the Laravel application. So we will start from the routes, and since we are going to use it as a backend, so the routes that are important for us is in api.php, and I think all these routes we can copy and use it in our application. So the step that I am going to follow is that I will create a new Flutter application because I want latest Android SDK and latest iOS SDK as well as the latest version of Flutter to be there. And next I will copy the important things, that is the lib directory and the dependency used in this Flutter project, into our newly created Flutter application. And in Laravel I'm going to copy these API and controllers, and yeah, pretty much that's it. So let's start following the steps. So after making changes, my task manager application looks something like this. So let me show you the changes that I have to made. So this register controller and this token controller was copied as it is with this auth directory. This task controller also was copied as it is, and this task controller doesn't have much in it. It just has this index action which returns the tasks with using this user relation. The rest of the actions are pretty much empty. In the users model, I already had this tasks relation, so I didn't have to do much. In the api.php, I just commented the default API that's there in the Laravel app and just copied all the APIs from the Laravel application that I cloned from here. And that's it. And now this task manager is ready for the Flutter application that we are going to do. Now let's look at the Flutter app and the changes that was done. So this lib directory was copied to this new Flutter application, and in the pubspec.yml I copied these dependencies. One dependency that I have to remove because it was not matching the SDK that we are using in the latest Flutter application. So let me show you that package. So this platform device ID is the package that I have to remove, and after removing this package I also had to make some changes. Let me show you the changes that were needed. So if I go to providers, there we have this get device ID, and in and in and in my new Flutter application, I just had to comment this, and I just hard coded this because I could not find appropriate solution for this for now. But I think there is one solution that I will share with you later, which can serve the purpose if we are not using this application with many users. If we have a small user base with which we are going to use this application, then that solution will be more than enough to serve our purpose. But this package that was there was not up to date, so I had to remove it. And let's get back to pubspec YML. So these dependencies were the thing that I had to add, and then there is this assets that I had to add, and I also had to copy this assets directory from the Flutter template that I copied. And yeah, pretty much that these are the things I had to do. And now let's look into the model. I had to change the post model to task model, and also the name of the file, as you can see, from post.dart to task.dart. You can leave it post.dart, but I prefer to give a right naming convention to the code that I am using. And you can see the model name has also been changed, the fields has been changed, the constructor parameters has been changed, and the return the constructor parameters are changed here as well, where we convert data from JSON to factory. Okay, so we can say in short that this task model is something that was completely changed, and because we changed this task model, we also had to make changes in the task screen. As you can see, this one is something that is left. The post screen state name is still there, but you can see here that because we changed the name of post model to task, we have to make changes here and here. So these are the places I made changes, and in this code is a bit old, so many places you will find that the const modifier is missing, and I must say that at many places it's missing. So you will have to add it. Even if you don't add, the code will run, but I think if you are bothered about the efficiency of the code, I think you should declare all those missing const modifiers and yeah, that's it. One important thing that uh, took me time to figure out was that if I go to dio.dart and I was trying to run this application in my local host, so this is the IP that I had to use, because usually the IP that we use for localhost, that is 127.0.0.1, doesn't work for Flutter. So for Flutter we have to use 10.0.2.2, and this is what is the IP for localhost. Now let me go ahead and run this application and show you how things are working. So first I will go ahead and run the backend. And before doing that, I will have to start the XAMPP control panel. Okay, so the XAMPP server is running. Now I can go ahead and start the Laravel backend. And now the Laravel backend is also working. And now I can go ahead and start the Flutter app. Before starting the Flutter app, I need to run the emulator. So let the emulator start. So the emulator is booting. And now it's ready. Now let me run the app. Okay, so it directly went into the welcome screen, but when you run it for the first time, that won't be the case. You will end up in this screen. This is, I think, a type of helper screen that is there. So I will just skip this and I will click on get started, and these are the things that are there in the template by default. This is the login screen. Let me show you the register screen. This is how the register screen looks. And let's go back to login screen. This is the credential that I will be using for login, which is actually the credential that is there in the backend of Laravel's server that we are using. Okay, so the login was successful. The login is working through the API, the backend that we are running. And if I go to the posts, these are the this is still the titled as post, but basically these are the tasks that are being fetched from our task manager backend. This is the deadline, and this is the task title, this is the task description, and yeah, pretty much it. So this is still there are lots of scope to make it better, and the app template, the Flutter app template, is also not very elegant, but I think it does serve the purpose, and it is a skeletal app that we can modify and make it work for our purpose. So I hope that you found this video informative. This was a very simple integration, but if you have any website, or if it's Laravel app or if any other website, then you can get in touch with us and we can get it converted into a elegant mobile application. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye bye.